All right. Well, let's bring out our guests. We can continue to talk about this. Let's bring some more dudes out here.
If the show's lacking anything, it's
dude.
more dudes.
It's dude energy. These guys have a very popular feral audio podcast. It's like I don't know if you care about such things, but it's number 5. I happen to know that. It's like the 5th most popular feral audio podcast.
Where are we?
I don't know. I don't care about these things.
Top?
We're number 1?
1 or 2, I don't know.
Who's number 1?
I think it might be Duncan Trussell.
I'll fucking kill that guy.
Fucking hippie piece of shit. Fucking probably, yeah. He's probably they're probably counting astral people in the listeners' numbers. It's like Greg and Greg's spirit are both listening.
Dan, in this lighting right now, right where you're standing, right in this lighting, you have become more good-looking than Russell Crowe.
Thanks.
He looks like shit. You've crossed over into being better Russell Crowe.
Our guests tonight have a podcast called The Doughboys on Feral Audio. They review. Excuse me.
Wait, that's the worst intro in the world. You can't burp during an intro.
They review franchise restaurants. It's salt of the earth. It was my burp was salt of the earth. They review franchise chain restaurants. You know, like Jesus Christ. We'll get to know every little detail about them. They're UCB alum. They're very much they're related to our family by a lot of mutual cousins and things. We can talk about that too. Oh, can we, Dan? Shut up, you fucking millennial puke. What did you come here for? Did you think Norman Lear was coming back?
Norman Lear, that was the most intense shit in the world.
I know, and then remember when Dustin uploaded the podcast and it said Normal Lear? This guy, 93 years old, he's worked in the business for 100 of those years. His name is Norman. You Silver Lake hippie. Get the incense out of your mouth. The Doughboys are here, and we're going to get to know them now. They are Nick Wiger and Mitch Mitchell, the Doughboys.
That's Mike Mitchell, right?
Well, you go by Mitch, though,
I go
right?
by Mitch, yeah, so that's fine.
We haven't established canonically what Mitch's name is. He goes by Mike, he goes by Michael, and he goes by Mitch.
I'm fine with all
Well,
of
see,
them.
I was trying to save work because it said the information I got was it's Mike Mitchell. He goes by Mitch, and I was like, why am I going to share the genealogy? I was just saying.
I introduced myself as Mitch. I don't care about myself enough to even care what anyone calls me. When people ask me, I'm just like, yeah, Mitch or Mike. I don't care. I don't care what they say. It's fine with me, so long as I don't make anyone angry, which I think I'm doing right now, possibly.
Yeah. No, you have to work harder than that to get on their good side. They're like, I hate myself too. Grow up.
All right, good. We're on the same side then. Yeah.
So your podcast is people love it. Spencer counts himself among the fans, I believe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spencer.
It's not a big deal.
Thanks, Spencer.
It's not a good look to tell people you love their podcast.
It's not a good look.
It's not.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, we like it. We're number 5. We didn't know we were number 5. That's not bad, right?
I got that. It's Dustin. He's a producer. He thinks about these things.
He's just going to give a thumbs up or something. Yeah, all right, there we go.
Why is it called Doughboys?
Good question. I mean, I would say that we are doughy men eating unhealthy food. So
he was fat at one point.
I'm still yeah.
I remained fat. Oh, and I've never not got fat, but he was a fat guy at one point, and he's thin. You're a thin man now.
I'd say I'm towards the slender side, but there's still a layer of pudding over everything. Like I'm not like cut, you know. I'm in pretty good shape though.
Yeah.
I used to be a lot fatter.
Yeah.
But no, we live an unhealthy lifestyle. We both kind of have the diets of guys who are bulking up for an Academy Award-winning role, and so and so it's just like we're, as far as a comment on that, Doughboys felt appropriate. The other one, our runner-up was Side of Guys. We almost went with that, and I think we made the right call.
Yeah. I went dead silent.
Are you both under 30?
I'm 35.
I'm 33.
Okay, yeah. 'Cause, under 30, I couldn't gain a pound. Then one day I was sitting at Rob Schraub's with Dan. We would get Benito's tacos every night, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm fat."
I gained a pound.
Yeah.
He put it under his pillow, his first pound. He framed it. He framed it like a car wash's dollar. Just curiously though, Nick is the skinny one, right?
Nick,
not the one that's named Mike and Mitch.
Nick is the skinny one, and there's a part of me that thinks that this is all like a Seven style plot by you to make me fucking fatter and fatter as time goes on.
Do you think every time you wait? Well, so not to. I don't want to derail this too much, but I am curious if you were fat and you got thin, Nick. What was there a method you used? Because a lot of my listeners are always looking for a new technique.
He told me his technique.
Tough. Yeah, I mean, like, I've been through, my weight has yo-yoed a lot through my life. I was like a fat kid, and then I got skinny late in early adulthood. When I was like 18, 19, I was like very thin, in the best shape of my life. Then I plumped up again throughout my 20s. Then around 29, I lost some weight again, and the factor late in life was diet. Like earlier in life, when I had that initial weight loss, I just started swimming, and I just burned off a shitload of calories. I think, like what I'm saying, just that much of activity and having that young metabolism. But as I was older, I found that I had to restrict sugar and restrict carbohydrate intake, and just have a very strict sort of low carb-ish diet.
All right, but you're not doing that anymore. Do you guys actively? When you, as I listened to a little bit of one of your most recent podcasts, I picked the one that had my friend David Phillips on it.
Oh yeah,
you love Phillips.
Phillips is a great guy.
And but I never got to the part where you actually started talking about the specific restaurant. Although at the top of the podcast episode, there's this very charming post Karina Longworth. Is that a reference that sticks? No. The very very academic, just like dump of information about the restaurant you're going to be talking about. Is that every episode?
I have a little monologue I start each episode with that's kind of just loosely plagiarized from Wikipedia, but makes me sound and feel smart, so I like to say it. And sort of gives a little background on the restaurant, and then we fuck around for like 45 minutes, and then we finally get to the restaurant, and we talk about that for pretty much the balance of the episode.
Yeah, you give it a nice little autistic twist on it, and people seem to enjoy it.
Are you just drawing on memories of eating at these places, or do you ever have to study up?
Mitch and I go before each episode. The two of us go either together or independently, sometimes with our guest, to the restaurant in question. So we always have a fresh perspective on whatever we're visiting, and sometimes that involves a drive to Gardena to visit Long John Silver's.
Yeah, that sucks. And then in March, I ate 18 cheeseburgers in March. Please, I'll take it. I have nothing else to. I love it.
Wait. You ate 18 burgers throughout the month of March, or you ate them in one day?
No, God, no. 18 cheeseburgers throughout the month of March.
That was not for the podcast, though.
It was for the podcast. So
What was your favorite burger in town, Mitch?
So this is, we were ranking them, and
it's a point of contention.
And it's a point of contention because I like Wendy's, he likes In-N-Out Burger, and then I voted in the final. I voted for Shake Shack was what I voted for.
Shake Shack. I don't think I've ever been there.
It's good. It's really good.
What is the? Because I mean, it's important to note you guys aren't snarky about the whole thing. Like you're not foodies that are bashing on these restaurants for being less than gourmet. You're actually partaking in you're opening the hood of a staple of our lives, which is like these giant corporate chains, and you're approaching them as if you were talking about real food. Where did that passion come from? Where did that passion come from? Harmon, just go hang yourself. Where did that passion come from?
You put a good twist on it because I feel like we like all these restaurants and we want an excuse to eat there every week, I feel like, and that was a big part of it. And then
Well, do you get so when you guys go to right here? I mean, turning this into something about me. The big LA thing is. There's a new restaurant every day, and there's another one closing. And if you wanted to, every day you could just and there are people who want to do this. In particular, I feel like it's an age thing. Like my younger friends have no problem going, let's go eat at this one place. I heard great things about it. And I always know that if you heard great things about it, that means I'm going to be sitting in doll furniture, elbow to elbow with strangers, and eating, not to get all Tim Allen about it, but also the portions are going to be small and weird, in some deliberate way, some offhandedly fucking deliberate way. And whereas then there's just holy shit, can I go to Taylor's Steakhouse?
I every time I go to Night and Market Song, Night plus Market Song, I'm always afraid I'm going to fall through the chair every time I go there. I'm truly nervous and embarrassed I'm going to fall through the chair. But yeah, I mean, we talked about that because we do I like all types of food, but
yeah, we like fine dining too, and we like cool, hip, individual location places, but there's something inclusive and comforting about chains by design. It's a different experience going to a Mimi's Cafe or a Chili's, and their whole it's calculated at a corporate level to make you feel included. And I don't know. I mean, we wanted to celebrate that atmosphere and not make fun of it because it's something that for a lot of people that's the only, depending on where you live in the country, those are the only restaurants you have access to.
Right. Well, that's interesting. So in being connoisseurs of chains, so what are the things that you have concluded? What connects all of them? You've done 50 episodes of this, so there must be. Is there overriding psychological principles at work in a successful chain restaurant?
I'd say 100%. Well, you're the smarter one of the two, so you go for it.
When you say "make you feel included," I think is the phrase you used. Make you feel included or invited. What did you say exactly?
I said included. I'm not sure if that was the perfect word choice.
But what do you elaborate on that?
Well, it's just anytime you're at a restaurant, you're paying for the you're paying for the food, but you're also paying for the service. You're paying for people to pretend like they're your servants for a little bit. And I feel like the better chain restaurants, fundamentally, that's what you're dealing with. You're paying for people to sort of dote on you and take care of your every need and act to pretend in this situation you're a higher status of them, but in the real world you might not be. So I think the effective chain restaurants kind of just have that experience. They just present it in a way that you would in a good individual location restaurant. They franchise wide. They kind of have you. They make you feel that way. And one restaurant we reviewed very highly, this chain Hillstone. It goes by many names. Houston's, you may know, is most popularly. Yeah, Houston's is great. But I mean, that's a place where just the level of service. The level of service is universally very high. In addition to the food quality. So I guess.
I find Chili's reliable in an airport. Where airports is kind of
that's their slogan.
It's its own thing.
It's a no man's land in an airport.
I've never. That's an interesting from a class perspective. It's you're talking about a middle class thing, and going out to dinner being not something you do every night, possibly doing it with your family and loved ones. And there is, I guess that there is something interesting about that. They create little worlds as if it's part dinner, part vacation. You've come to islands. You've have a tropical doppeldy-doopy-doo. They have little sayings, and they have outfits, and they have the whole theme thing. And I just realized that's not. I don't know what I ever thought that was. I hadn't problematized it yet. I hadn't looked at it and asked myself. I just felt like that was just. But that's what they're trying to do. Is they're competing over dollars that are harder earned than to say they're like dollars that are holy shit, I almost died typing for this dollar. My bones are sticking out of my fingertips, and I want to make sure I get treated right, and so that that's the big giant parking lots with the big blinking signs that say. Look, there's plenty of room here. There's a runway.
Yeah, I feel like, and especially now, there's that thing of there's two things at play too that I feel like that kind of will separate the good from the bad, and it's the quality being good across like all the restaurants. If you can like keep a standard of quality in Los Angeles and then somewhere in Wyoming, like everywhere you go, it feels like kind of the same level of food. Then that's like and then the chains that have failed have been ones that kind of like you go to a different place and it'll be good and then it will be bad,
or they're just bad in general.
I mean, those are the worst. There's just places that taste like shit.
We went to this place that I had fond memories of from my childhood, Caro's, which is a West Coast chain.
Caro's cares.
Yeah, and at one point they were pretty. It was pretty big, and it was well reviewed, and it was well revered. And it was a place that would be like a treat. And now it's dying. It got bought off by a larger company, and it went from I think at its peak it had 60 locations. Now it's like 12 locations. We went to one in South Pasadena, which was like one of the only ones in the greater LA area, and it was a real sad scene.
We asked we were like, "What do you like to eat at this place?" And she was like, "Nothing." She said that. She just said nothing at all, and we were like, "Oh."
Remember, Caro's has rice pudding, by the way. Nobody has rice pudding. You can get a rice pudding at Caro's.
Well, I think that's the thing of like the entire clientele except for us was older adults, was seniors who I think it was like, oh, this is my comforting place that I've gotten used to. But I think
Do you guys ever go to Sambo's, or are you too young?
Sambo's?
Yeah.
No, not me.
Problematic.
I was about to say.
There's a place called Sambo's. I think there might be still one that exists. Santa Barbara?
Oh my God!
Is it still
exists.
there? And
they maintain that's why it's called Sambo's. It's short for Santa Barbara. We know better from the logo.
Yeah.
The logo isn't a sunset behind a ship. What about Barnaby's? You guys ever hear Barnaby's?
No, have you heard of Barnaby's?
Where is Barnaby's?
Barnaby's was it was a place. When I was a kid, I thought there was only one Barnaby's. That's the other thing. When you're a kid, you grow up whatever. But that's the thing. When you're a kid, you just want to kill myself. I want to kill myself just so I can go to hell and have everyone there tell me to kill myself.
Man. We would love to have you on the podcast because we talk about fast food, but like 70% of it is talking about killing ourselves.
Yeah, if there isn't a death wish behind a podcast dedicated to reviewing chain restaurant food, then I guess you'd have to go to the Philip Morris happy hour. I don't know.
We talk about it on the podcast, and then we get done with the podcast, and we text each other about how we want to kill ourselves. Like, never stops happening.
By the way, for you 16-year-olds listening, that is a sport among those of us over 30. We're professionals.
Don't do it. Yeah.
If you have conflicted feelings, talk to somebody. That's not the same thing. It's not the same thing that you're feeling. Just hang in there and talk to somebody. All right. I want nothing on my hands, man. I want to leave only footprints on this world. And I already fucked up with that Chevy voicemail. And I the last thing I need is this Tumblr note. The Barnaby's was but also I care if you're listening. Barnaby's was like this. It had this like stained glass. It was an Italian restaurant, kind of not Italian restaurant. It was a pizza place, and it was everything was like varnished wood and darkness and like stained glass chandeliers and stained glass windows that didn't let any light in if you were eating there during the day, and then there was like a little window to the kitchen, like some of those places have, where you could watch the guys make the pizza. I don't know. I don't know why I'm bringing it up because great. I never knew it was a chain. I just thought it was this place that it was in Milwaukee, and my family would go there. It was that was our place. That meant that. Like beyond let's go to McDonald's because it's a fuck it kind of night. This was like it's special. It's like a fuck it kind of night, and we're in a good mood. It closed. It got taken over by this place called Tomfooleries. Which was it was on the heels of Chuck E. Cheese. It was Chuck E. Cheese for adults. Tomfoolery. The logo was in Miami Vice style blue neon. and you would go into. The idea was that the parents could hang out in this swank '80s swingery kind of dining environment, and there was a stack of free tokens for the arcade in the corner, which was like this grotto. You would just stuff your kids for the evening. And it was like pursuing this strange dichotomy. It was like, hey, it's the '80s. Maybe your family's a liability. And Pac-Man's here to solve that problem. We've got this shit figured out. Reaganomics, man. But then my friend Dino took me to a Barnaby's in Chicago, and it was identical. I had so many fucking flashbacks. I was like, wait, can I go to the bathroom? The answer is yes. But like the entire floor plan of the entire place was identical, which is another crazy thing about a chain restaurant. Is like you could have a memory of your favorite 8th birthday, and then you could if that virus of that restaurant survives in some pocket, even if you have to go find one somewhere, you could like have all those flashbacks.
We just recently. Well, he's got something going on. We recently went to Chuck E. Cheese's. Speaking of tomfooleries,
my lovely ex-wife Erin McGathy's episode, right?
That's correct. Yeah, and I've never felt like a bigger pervert in my entire life.
Wait, did you actually go to a Chuck E. Cheese with Erin?
I went.
Were you fucking her?
No.
Oh, shit.
Because, like, I'm dating, but
The best Harmontown ever.
No, sir. No, sir.
We find out one of the Doughboys is fucking your ex-wife.
and that's how you do it, Chuck E. Cheese.
I mean, if you're gonna fuck someone's ex-wife, take him to Chuck E. Cheese.
I'm sorry, I'm derailing you to a certain extent. Are there still Chuck E. Cheeses?
There's a lot of them actually. There was way more than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah, there's like 250. There's like a good number nationwide.
Whoa.
They merged with Showbiz. Was it Showbiz or Showtime Pizza? I think Showbiz Pizza. Yeah, they merged with Showbiz Pizza and then converted all their locations. There's still a lot.
You know, on the skee ball there, when the tickets come out, if you slightly pull, they just keep fucking coming.
Oh yeah.
Nice hack.
Here's another life hack. If you're 11 years old in the 80s and you don't get invited to a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party, you fucking you're off the grid, unpopular.
You become a show creator later on in life.
I never. It was like, oh, Steve's having a Chuck E. Cheese birthday. But it was like there was no discretion because those parties were just like, just tell basically everybody to come. It's not like people were buying their pizza. It was like a Midwestern thing. It was like, just show up. They just didn't want me there.
Who did?
They didn't want me in a public place.
Dan, who did not invite you to a Chuck E. Cheese?
I said Steve.
Steve who?
I'm not gonna name his last name.
Is it Ramstack?
No. I mean, the people who wronged me have suffered. Believe me.
Wait, what did you do?
I didn't do shit. I'm God's hammer, N-word. I'm fucking, karma just happens. Sometimes you have the pleasure of feeling God hammering people, using you as the hammer. That's what Facebook's about, right?
Like, you feel that nature actually has like tortured them, or they actually got their comeuppance?
I don't know. Do you think their goal was to just keep loving football, and was that supposed to make them like really happy? Or
I mean, did something terrible happen to that person?
I don't say there's no burnt houses or anything on their Facebook profiles, but I check in and I go like, yeah. Told you baseball was dumb. I don't post that on their page, but I say it to myself and I masturbate, cry, and fall asleep. And I don't come a lot. I come desperate, sad little droplets.
Well, after hearing this, just to be clear, Nick and I don't fuck at all. We don't fuck anything. But I went to Chuck E. Cheese by myself, and then a friend.
For those of you who aren't video subscribers,
The crowd gasped.
Mitch isn't a guy you hope as a parent to see at a Chuck E. Cheese by himself. You'd rather see him there with a kid and a baby Bjorn.
A grown adult friend joined me, a man,
It's getting worse.
If he looked like Stanley Tucci, it just makes it worse. I mean, it's just like you have like an accomplice.
It was not good. We sat by the stage, and he was like intent on playing skee ball afterwards, and I was like, please, I was sweating. I was like, we need to get out of here as fast as possible. But we played a little skee ball. It's one of those virus restaurants that you were talking about, like a virus chain where it's you're like, oh, I remember some of this, but it's not. Nothing is right here. Like nothing feels right about it.
I have the strangest, most specific memory. I went to Showbiz before it was Chuck E. Cheese one time, and I think it was because my parents got so used to me coming home kind of like sad and then dragging it out of me that Steve didn't invite me to his fucking gala again. So at one point they actually took me to Showbiz, just my parents and me, and we sat in the back room, and there was a Billy Bob the Bear, and he sang songs and stuff. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before because I remember it straight. I was probably 12 years old, 11. And they did this like letters section. They would sing songs, the animatronic band, and then they did a letter like oh here's letters. And then one of the letters they read was from a kid who said, Billy Bob, how come when you're on stage you have bare feet with no shoes on, and when you're wandering around the arcade you have sneakers on? Why would they include that? Like, talk about like a weird shame, like fraud complex, like, and just like a telltale heart, like they're like we have to address this. And Billy Bob said animatronic robot bear answered the question that the kid posed and said, well, the thing is, when I'm up here on stage, I don't want to fall off the stage, so my bear toe claws help me keep balance up here.
God.
But when I'm walking around there while you're eating your food, no one wants to see my toenails out there. Meanwhile, you're eating pizza and listening to him talking about his toenails, and it's gross. So mission not accomplished, and then they moved on. That's my memory of Showbiz Pizza Place was just this weird like over piping. Like if sometimes if it's broke, don't fix it.
I feel like you can't hear any of that stuff anymore because it's just like the whirring of like 20-year-old robots is all you can hear now. It's just like the stirring of the robots and the flapping of their eyelids and stuff. It's very off-putting.
There must be a thing. So it must be at this point. There must be a heavy like the pie chart of their customer base. A big slice of it must be nostalgic adults coming in to relive a childhood memory who don't have kids with them.
Based on me and Mitch's anecdotal experience, I would say that's a very small slice.
Okay.
It feels like they're mostly families, and if you're adults alone without kids, you're drawing eyeballs for being very, very... Yeah, I don't know how much of the nostalgia crowd it's attracting among people who don't have kids. Maybe people who take their kids are like, oh, there's a place I used to go to as a kid, you know?
So if you are over 30 and you do want to take a nostalgic trip back to an animatronic-themed pizza place, take a kid. Well, maybe one you know, whatever. Just find a kid and have them with you so that the other parents can be comfortable.
We were afraid we were going to get stopped.
But leave with a different kid.
Well, they have controls in place for that.
Controls, yeah. They have checks and they have their checks and balances.
Well, yeah, the ball pit, man, tells no tales. The ball pit tells no tales. It's like the pig pen in Deadwood.
Cocksucker. Sergeant.
Take him to the ball pit.
When you get in there, there's like an airlock system, and you have to like wait in a cattle crate, and they come over and give you wristbands that are color coordinated so that they know that you're leaving with the correct children.
Oh God!
What?
Yeah, it's really, really crazy.
Wow. I mean, that represents some actual crimes. Yeah.
They used
it
to have a
represents some
hand
actual-
stamp. They used to have this hand stamp. It was like ultraviolet, you know? And so there'd be a letter on it, but then I think they realized you could just like buy those stamps. And that's why they do wristbands. I don't know.
This is a rabbit hole.
It's making it so hard for me to go and just steal children from Chuck E. Cheese.
I showed you, we have to book on this guy. Steve Levy's not here, so this will fall on deaf ears. But I want to book on the podcast because I don't want to do any research. I want to know, like, is the actual, like, what the hell is there? Is it what is there more terrible things happening to children per capita?
Oh no.
Or is this like a weird?
What guest is going to solve that problem for you?
A social
child
worker,
molester?
Janet Jackson.
a census taker? I don't fucking know. yeah, I kept. I go back to the same house and then they're gone. No, I don't know. Actually, I'm just somebody who could actually just say like, no. Well, here's the thing, because I know there's a variety of variables. For instance, the population keeps exploding. So even if you were to, sometimes flat numbers can be misleading. I'm just like Duncan was on this podcast and he really like when he was like saying, oh, never mind. I'm not going to quote him again because it was so funny, but it makes him sound like a villain too. I just like it's we've become obsessed. Obviously, our national psyche is like doting on this like idea. We can't have a conversation that involves children without immediately like it's like a syndrome of like both comedians have learned it and like actual concern, and it's all feeding into itself. It's like this zeitgeist pocket of like, oh my God, children are just like this, like candy apples, just like rolling around, and like they have targets on every side of their body, and like the world is made of arrows. And
I'm not interested in them. I think they're gross.
I think they're annoying. I think they don't know overkill. Like, you ever try to explain to a kid that comedy comes in fucking threes, not 90s? Yeah, I get it. It's an airplane. Fucking moron.
The stuff they're into, yeah, you know what? Some of them are going to get taken. No one will agree with this side. Some of them are going to get taken sometimes, but Room has showed us that they get back unharmed. They find their way back.
I'm just curious, like, if there's something at work in the national psyche, like, there's some shift that happened. Like, we changed our perception of drugs several times. Like, we made decisions. You can trace them, you know, depending on your ideology.
Maybe it's that you can't fuck kids anymore. You know.
Maybe it's impossible.
Like, I feel like through most of human history, people have just been fucking kids left and right? Like the child, you'd get married at like 11 or 12, and then Greeks would fuck little boys. It's like
it's actual absence of the legal recourse to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say this: at my confirmation, Cardinal Law was at my confirmation. He gave mass.
Cardinal Law?
Cardinal Law, like
his name was Cardinal Law.
Cardinal Law, and he's.
Was he with corporal punishment?
You don't know about Cardinal Law?
Have you seen Spotlight?
Yeah.
He's Cardinal Law is the Hulk Hogan of Spotlight.
He's
Cardinal Law. For real. That's amazing. Go on.
The villain of Spotlight was gave the mass at my confirmation.
Wow.
And he asked a question, which I guess my godfather said it was a very easy question. And he pointed to me, and I didn't know the answer, and the whole church laughed. So I feel like I got him in some sort of way, you know. Cardinal Law was the guy. He covered it all up. I feel like that's where it all went wrong with the children thing. Because when I was in elementary school, I'd walk home from school in elementary school. Like I feel like. Third grade, I'd be walking home from school. And
it seems like the shit. That's what the things that I would do when I was a kid. The territory I occupied, the amount of fencing around it, both figuratively and literally, like the amount of hours I was allowed to log unsupervised in the expanse of territory, etc. Like compared to what I'm just like not like if I had a kid. Right now, 8 years old, just based on nothing more than just cultural zeitgeist, the disparity between what I would let that kid do versus what I did when I was a kid is so vast. It makes me ask the question: is also the environment is the disparity actually there?
Yeah,
I would guess it's actually I'm guessing this is
He knows.
based on nothing. No, but I'm guessing that it's both gotten less dangerous for kids, but we've gotten more awareness of it.
The
And
internet.
they're- Yeah, the internet.
Ruins
It's just
everything.
all local news is national news now. So every horrific, horrific crime that occurs or horrific accident that happens with a kid in a car seat, you hear about, and it just feeds that national
Yeah, our
paranoia.
grim fascination with,
Yeah.
with, not because we're bad people, but because we're good people, probably at heart. Like, we want to, it's like the things that are going to pop and sizzle off of a big frying pan full of grease called the internet are stories about innocence, getting hurt,
Oh yeah.
I read a fucking long ass piece. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I read really long, like, true crime pieces, and I read a long piece just about kids who were trapped in hot cars. And there was there's this one part that stuck with me. It'll probably stick with you now, so I apologize. But there was they'd asked a detective what was the worst thing they'd ever seen involving one of these cases.
I've heard this before.
Should I not share this? Should I not? I won't share it. You guys will hear it.
We're all no.
Okay.
It's part of our media watchdog segment.
Okay.
We're all good people.
Everybody, buckle your holy shit belts.
What was the worst thing you ever saw investigating one of these cases? And I remember it said the detective took a pause to gather themselves.
You don't have to include that part.
Yeah. There was a little girl who was 2 who was trapped in a car. It was 100 degrees, and when they found her, she was dead, and she had torn all her hair out of her head.
That's been our show, guys. Thanks for coming. Holy smoke.
Just a nightmare. Just a nightmare.
There was in the
Oh God.
I think New Yorker magazine, a LAPD homicide detective was asked. They found like a couple dead bodies up in Angeles National Forest, and like they had been there for many years. And a reporter asked the detective, "How many people do you think are buried out here?" And he said, "If I asked every body buried in Angeles National Forest to stand up, it would look like Venice Beach." It's like that's where you go to bury people. So like when you're driving by on the 2 freeway and
They'd all be silver robots.
they all have roller skates. They all have boom boxes on their shoulders.
The amount of caricature art.
We are surrounded by a forest full of murdered people. Like it's
Well, according to that cop, I mean, I have no reason to doubt him, but also Mark Furman as an example. I don't know. He had information too. I like cops are, they don't graduate from cop college to become cops. Some of them know exactly what they're talking about, and some of them are like, I wish I was Mickey Spillane. He was a hard-boiled, like, kind of writer.
Also, another
He's also one of Miller Lite's all-stars.
another LAPD cop said that there's probably more dead bodies between us and Catalina right now, because if you want to really kill somebody, have a boat.
Yeah, man.
Dave, don't yoop that.
That's it.
That was the wrong time to yoop.
That's how you do it.
All right. But your podcast is about food.
Let's all kill someone tonight and find out who wins.
By the way, where's my clock? I'm flying blind here, man.
Yeah.
Doesn't work anymore.
Oh my God.
The cops in Quincy.
It's 9:12. You see?
God damn it.
I'll explain later.
We finally forgot.
Oh no. Oh, I get it.
It turns out all you have to do is turn a clock off. And we can forget. 9:13. What a bummer.